Aisha Ishmael for the defense. May I proceed?
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Please introduce yourself to the court, spelling your last name for the record.
My name is Mayor Max Heisman. It's H-E-I-S-M-A-N.
Mayor Heisman, tell the members of the jury a little about yourself.
I was born and raised right here in Truman Millings. After law school, I turned down a pretty big job at a big law firm in order for me to give back to the community which I grew up in. So I began my career as a public defender. From there, I went on to join the city council, and after that, I was blessed with the opportunity to become the mayor, and that was in 2011.
How did you become involved in politics?
Well, as most stories do, this one starts off when you're trying to impress a girl. In high school, she was the smartest girl in her class, and she was running for president. So I decided to run for vice president just so I could be next year on our student government board. Surprisingly, I fell in love with the whole process of politics, and I knew then that I wanted to become a politician. In case you were wondering, I did get the girl. We've been married for 10 years.
Why are you here today, Mayor Heisman?
Earlier this year, I re-ran for mayor of Truman. But now, my opponent, Elizabeth Ginger, she has accused me of winning the election by committing election fraud.
What was your strategy coming into the 2015 election for mayor?
Well, when I began campaigning late 2014, at that point I was pretty much running unopposed. So I took that time to go and talk to the people of Truman and try to convince them that I was still the best candidate for the job of mayor.
Did you continue to run unopposed throughout the election?
Oh no. Eventually, one opponent stood out amongst the rest, and that was Ms. Ginger. She was a candidate from District 12.
How did Elizabeth Ginger's presence influence your campaign?
Well, once she elected or announced that she would be a candidate for the election, I was no longer running unopposed. So Tom and I decided that we needed to change the strategy in order for me to win the election.
Now you mentioned Tom. Who is that?
Tom Ryan was my campaign manager. Now, I know I'm an attorney, but I worked as a defense attorney. If you ask me anything about the college agreement, I can tell you about it backwards and forwards. But when it comes to election laws, Tom Ryan was a guy I rely on for specialized knowledge. I rely on him to translate the election laws, how to run a campaign, because those are things I'm not that familiar with.
When Elizabeth Ginger announced her candidacy, what was your strategy after that?
My strategy was to be everywhere Ms. Ginger was not. At the beginning of her race, she focused on District 12, where she was from. So I decided to spend most of my time in the 11 of the districts of Truman. But toward the end of her race, it seemed like she was pulling out of District 12.
Why do you say it seemed as if Elizabeth Ginger was pulling out of District 12?
Well, it seemed like her focus was switched. She started spending more time in the 11 of the districts. So I used it as an opportunity to make my presence known in District 12, to make sure I still had the supporters that I had before she became a candidate, and to try to persuade some of her supporters that I was a better candidate for mayor.
Mayor Heisman, there are some questions regarding your campaign strategy for the election, specifically in regards to a man named Casey French. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I do.
And how do you know him?
Back as a public defender, I was previously appointed to represent Casey French.
Was there ever a time that you denied knowing Casey French?
Yes, there was. There was once in my last press conference.
Why?
Well, when I represented Casey French last, it was in 2004, well over 10 years ago. I had no idea what Casey French was involved in, what he was doing. I hadn't spoken to Casey French since 2004. During that press conference, I was questioned about me, my campaign, and my previous attorneys, and I decided that it was best for me not to acknowledge that relationship in public. It was a decision that was made, a decision that I've apologized for, because I would never try to mislead the people of Truman. But I was just trying to protect my campaign at that time.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness with previously admitted evidence, specifically the text messages that have already been admitted? Mayor Heisman, do you recognize the phone number at the top of that document?
Prior to today's trial, I had no idea who this phone number belonged to, but it was a number that I had stored in my phone.
Do you know who that number belongs to now?
From sitting through today's trial, I learned that this is Casey French's number, which would make sense why it was stored in my phone because I represented him back in 2004. It also makes sense to why I didn't recognize it at first because I hadn't spoken to Casey French since 2004. During
the time of your campaign, did you contact that phone number?
Absolutely not.
Did that phone number ever contact you?
No, it did not. And I voluntarily released my phone and all its records to the authorities because I had nothing to hide.
We heard today that Casey French was distributing false information to the voters of District 12. During your campaign, were you aware or did you know if Casey French was distributing that information?
I did not know that. I didn't even know Casey French was in the state of Midlands.
Did you ever tell Casey French to distribute that information?
No. I've never authorized, I've never requested, I've never indicated or in any way suggest that Casey French distribute any information to anybody in District 12 or any of the 11 districts in Truman.
During the time of your campaign, did you see Casey French face to face?
Not at all. I have not seen Casey French since 2004, which is when I last represented him.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness with previously admitted evidence, specifically the flyer? Mayor Heisman, I want to talk about what you did during your campaign specifically. Did you ever tell the people of District 12 that they needed a college degree in order to vote?
I would never tell the members, the people of District 12 that information because it's false information. You don't need a college degree in order to vote, so no.
Did you ever tell the people of District 12 that they needed to own a home in order to vote?
Again, that's information that is not true. You do not have to be a homeowner in order to vote for mayor, so no, I would not have told people of District 12 that they needed to be a homeowner in order to vote.
Was any of that information a part of your campaign strategy for the 2015 election?
Absolutely not.
Now, we've also heard today about a location change from the high school in District 12 to Slow Low Gym. Did you suggest that location change?
No. I was aware that there was some safety issues surrounding the high school, and that's why the location was moved to the Slow Low Gym, but I did not suggest that move, no.
To your knowledge, who was responsible for delegating polling places?
That would be the election commission.
Now, is the elections commission a city entity or a state entity?
State.
So what is the difference between your office, the mayor's office, and the election commission?
Well, the mayor's office is just local, so that would just be the city of Truman. The elections committee is state, so they make decisions for the entire state of Midlands.
And do you have any power over the elections commission?
No, sometimes the elections commission can come out, they'll ask for suggestions from candidates like myself or Ms. Ginger about ways we think we could make voting easier, but ultimately the decision is made by them.
Mayor Heisman, the flyer that I just handed you, did you give that flyer to the people of District 12?
Looking through this flyer, from what I got from it, it looks like it's trying to discourage people from voting. As a candidate, I would never try to discourage anyone from voting, whether they vote for me, whether they vote for Elizabeth Ginger. The point of having the right to vote is getting out there to vote. We, from the Heisman campaign, never distributed this flyer. And if this flyer was being handed out to people in District 12, this flyer could have gotten in the hands of any of my supporters, and they could have chose not to vote because of this also. I would have never done it.
Your Honor, at this time, I have no further questions. Permission to approach the witness and retrieve evidence.